Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back in. Today, I'm at the crib because, as promised, I'm coming to give you another video on my thoughts and reviews on all the rides we ridden this past weekend at Epic Universe, right? Also have a little bit of a surprise at the end of the video, so if you want to see what that is, you're going to have to stick around. Let's get into it, though. Alright, so getting into my thoughts and reviews at the park, right? Keep in mind, I'm probably going to keep looking down at my phone as I wrote down a little bit of notes about this, right? So, before we get into all that, we got into the park. The energy was great. The vibe, and just like I said, the energy around the park is just amazing. Obviously, you got to keep in mind that it's a brand new park, so everybody probably got that feeling just walking in because it's a brand new park. You're experiencing all of this for the first time. But I know people talk about sight lines and all that, which I'm not even going to get into that deeply in this video, but when you walk into the park, I'm very into water, so the water elements in the park, I'm all for that. It makes the park look really, really good. But we went to the park, again, seeing the sight lines and all that, it was amazing. We went first to Dark Universe. So the first ride that we rode was Monsters Unchained. So when we got there, the line was pretty long, I'm not gonna lie, and it's no shading in Epic, as I said in the last video, and I'm pretty sure if you've been doing your research, you're hearing everybody talk about it. So it was brutally hot until you get into a certain point in the queue where it's kind of indoor. But the queue to the ride is hands down amazing, 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 amazing. I mean, if you've seen my last video, you've seen it. The electricity, you know, the wires with the electricity lines in the top is glowing and stuff like that, and how they're setting the tone, the whole storyline throughout the queue, like for the ride. I think that's hands down amazing, right? Everybody compares Monsters Unchained to Forbidden Journey at Universal Studios. If you've been on that ride, you know the ride system it is. It's almost identical to that. It's almost identical to that. But I will say though, the loading dock for Forbidden Journey is just kind of like one conveyor belt, and they bring like one family at a time on the conveyor belt, whatever, or four, you know, it's 4 seats, so they bring on one group at a time, and it's kind of slow, you know what I mean? It's not that slow, but it's getting to Monsters Unchained. They have this huge circle conveyor belt. I mean, if you haven't seen it already, there's videos everywhere about it, but there's this huge conveyor belt, and the ride units are going like the ride units, whatever you want to call them, they're going around, and I'm not sure, I don't remember because I was just so into the moment looking at everything. I don't know if they're loading up like multiple, you know, groups at a time, because again, it's 4 seats, but it's huge though, and I feel like that helps out with the capacity and getting people on the ride and off the ride as quick as possible. I think that was just amazing. I'm not going to get into too detailed with the ride, but one thing I will say is a lot of people said about this ride about how, you know, the animatronics are so realistic and they didn't know what was a screen and what was an animatronic. I will say this, the animatronics were amazing, amazing. I have nothing to say about that, but you definitely can tell what is a screen and what's an animatronic, right? Now, having said that, I should say, the screens in this ride are crystal clear. I know it's a new park, and I don't really want to like point it to that point to say like that's the reason why it's so clear. I think they're using some sort of technology or some sort of screening or something like that that's just never been used in a theme park before, because they're crystal clear. Having said that though, it was a lot going on with that ride. So to me personally, I feel like I have to ride that ride about 2-3 more times to kind of grasp everything that's going on that ride. Maybe that's just me, but I've only ridden it once, and like I said, it's so much going on. It's not bad though. It's not like where you'll get lost in it. I feel like I enjoy that. It's so much going on that I feel like you're not going to get bored of this ride, or, you know, you could ride this ride 1,000,000 times and still not get bored of it because there's so much going on. You feel what I'm saying? But having said that, I rated Monsters Unchained a 10 out of 10. Hands down 10 out of 10. So we left there. We tried to, I think we were going to go on on Curse of the Werewolf. Then I forgot what happened, but we ended up leaving. We ended up going to Stardust Racers. I think we did that because Stardust Racers was a shorter line than Curse of the Werewolf at that time. Because you got to understand, when people come in, I think Dark Universe is one of the real popular worlds here. And I think that's the reason why it was so packed over there, because everybody just rushed that as soon as, park opened at 11 o'clock. But going to Stardust Racers, I think I talked about it a little bit in my last video, but yeah, again, I want to get a little bit more detailed. But the queue, the queue is cool. The queue is cool. I'm not gonna say, I mean, maybe I missed some stuff, whatever, but there's some, it's not that crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? Again, maybe I missed some stuff. Maybe the next time I go, I'll maybe pay more attention to that to see if there's some details and stuff like that I mixed. I have heard that on the back of the train cards, though, like the actual coasters themselves, somebody said that there's the flux capacitor from Back to the Future. Now, when I was there, I did see something, flickering and stuff like that on the back of the train. I don't know if that's what it was, though. So somebody, if you know, put it down in the comments if that's correct or incorrect. That's just what I've heard. But going to the ride, like I said, when we went on the yellow one first, because I've heard rumors about how the green one was more exciting. So I wanted to leave that, leave the best for last kind of thing. So we went on the yellow one first. When we went on the yellow one first, like I said, somebody threw up on the green one. So when we went, the green coaster wasn't going with us. So we got a cool experience, but when you're riding this ride with the other coaster next to you, it's a dueling coaster, paying that homage to Dueling Dragons, which I've ridden back when I was about 12 years old at Islands of Adventure, that got replaced by Hagrid's, which is amazing. Y'all know how I feel about that. But Dueling Dragons was amazing, and this is kind of paying homage back to that with the dueling coasters next to, side by side and racing and stuff like that. I think that's amazing. But that's what gives it that extra excitement when you're on the ride. It's just seeing the coaster kind of right next to you and stuff like that, whatever. You kind of think you're going to hit it and stuff like that. And it's just a different kind of emotion, just based, compared to like a regular coaster. You know what I mean? But so when we went that first time, like I said, on the yellow one, we didn't have the green one to race with. So it was a cool experience, but it wasn't like, again, we got off, we went right back on. I guess by that time they had got it all cleaned up, because they were all working on getting these cleaned up and stuff like that so they can keep moving. By the time we got back on, I guess it was back up and running. So we rode the green one that time. And that's when we got to race the yellow one with us, seeing those elements like I just explained. And that's when they would just threw it over the top. Now, like I said, there's a lot of comparisons, or people want to say, is this beating Velocicoaster? Is the new best roller coaster in all of Orlando? I haven't ridden every ride in Orlando, so I can't really speak on that, but Velocicoaster changed my life. I can tell you that. Like, when I got on that was probably the best roller coaster I've ever been on in my life. And I've been on a lot of roller coasters, like, in the world. You know what I mean? But right now, and I don't want to have it to be that recent bias and stuff like that, whatever, but I can say that Stardust Racers, especially the green one, is definitely better than Velocicoaster, hands down. And I'm only going to say that because with Velocicoaster, if you've been on it, the first half of the ride, it's cool. It's got some cool elements and stuff like that, some twist and turn. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's cool. But everybody knows that excitement comes after that second boost and you hit that big high, you know what I mean, drop and stuff like that. That's where it happens. But that time frame of that doesn't last that long. And I will say that all of Stardust Racers, even maybe the yellow track, is like that second half of Velocicoaster, like the whole ride. So that's why, to me, it's like over Velocicoaster. So with that being said, you already know, 10 out of 10. Now getting to the next ride, excuse me. After Stardust Racers, we went to Curse of the Werewolf. Now, Curse of the Werewolf, it said about, I think it was like a 55-minute wait posted. We waited, I want to say 25, 30 minutes though. And the theming there, the queue is cool. The queue is cool. It's more shaded over there on that queue, I will say that. And it's themed. I'm not gonna say, it's themed to the ride. I think it's pretty cool. The only thing I will say, like I think I said it in my last video, it's just very, very short. You know what I mean? I like spinny roller coasters and stuff like that, and I like, stuff that kind of like, because this ride kind of stops for a second, goes back, and then it boosts you again and stuff like that. I like all that stuff. It's just a little too short for me. I feel like I wish it was a little bit longer, and I think my ratings would have been a little bit higher on this one. I will say this though, for like rides like this though, I kind of look at it for like those kids who kind of like can't get on a lot of the other extreme roller coasters. Maybe they're not tall enough or too skittish to get on those. I like that they have these options to dim it down for those people who are not like me and are just a little bit skittish and just want to enjoy themselves but not feel too crazy when they get on it. I think this is kind of perfect for that. And like I said, for those age groups and stuff like that, my daughter loved it. So Curse of the Werewolf, I gave like a 5 to 6 out of 10. But I also think that if it was longer, my rating probably would have went up a little bit. You know what I mean? So moving along, after that we went to Super Mario World. First ride we went on there is Minecart Madness. Now, Minecart Madness, queue and the theming all around it, A1, grade A. You know what I mean? It's awesome just because you're in the world and stuff like that, and it's so colorful. It's so much things that's going on that, you know, so much things to look at, and you kind of get lost. But the first half of like the queue is kind of the outdoor area, I would say. There's parts there where it gets very, very hot. It's not too much shading. There's a little shading when you get kind of closer to the inside, but when you're in the back area, very, very hot. Hopefully it gets better in the future with all the trees that they planted around the park and stuff like that. You know, this is a brand new park. It's not even open yet. So hopefully, you know, in the future, a few years down the line, it gets more shaded. But keep that in mind if you're going to come here, to just try to wear a lot of sunscreen, you know, maybe bring an umbrella for shading and stuff like that. But this was probably the longest line we waited on that day. Again, the theming with the whole ride is cool. This is what I will say. They pitched this ride to us to be kind of like the game, to where like the cart is kind of jumping the tracks, right? Now, with theming wise, where it looks and how it looks when you're on it, and even how it looks when you're on the ground looking at the coaster, it definitely gives those vibes as if it's jumping the tracks. Like they got these tracks that are these fake tracks that are kind of like broken and stuff like that, whatever. Because if you don't know, the real tracks are kind of, you know, vertical, and they're on the side underneath the fake tracks, and it's kind of emulating as if you're riding on those fake tracks, but they do not feel like you're jumping the track. I don't know if there was mentally it kind of does, because like again, the visuals, you're looking at it, it looks like you're jumping, whatever. But I wish that every jump, the side track, the real track on the side, kind of went up a little bit, so it made that feeling as if you were really jumping. You know, that's my only complaint for this ride. So given that said, 7 out of 10. I feel that, like I said, if it gave those elements, and I don't know if it was just my expectations of really feeling that way, that's why it probably let me down, I'm not sure. All around though, it's a great ride, you know what I mean? You know, the kids loved it, the theming was awesome, but 7 out of 10. Next ride was Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Now, with this ride, the queue was almost as good as Monsters Unchained. The queue was so good. It's so much stuff going on. It was really, really good. This is a ride where, you know, they give you these augmented reality headsets and stuff like that, and then you get into the cart, and they have some facades around you that are really, you know, real facades, whatever, but on the augmented reality glasses, you could kind of see more stuff going on related to how the actual game is. And you're supposed to shoot the cars and stuff like that, gain points and stuff like that. Now, I love that aspect of it. Yeah, if y'all don't know me by now, you know, I like thrills. I like to be kind of scared when I go on rides. The rides that I get on, a lot of, you know, friends and family of mine, they kind of be like, nah, I'm not, they won't ever get on those type of rides. But those are the type of rides that I'm into, you know what I mean? But rides like this, you know, where it's for the kids and stuff like that, this is awesome. And that's why I feel like, you know, this is going to be a very popular ride once it opens up, because Universal, you know, kind of caters to adults and children, you know what I mean? And that's what I love about it, you know what I mean? You have those options, you know what I mean? But the ride was awesome. Like I said, I feel like it's more, I mean, it's not for me per se, I would say, you know what I mean? But it's a cool ride. I like the concept. It's kind of like, in my eyes, I feel like it's kind of related to Men in Black, because the whole concept of you just trying to like shoot and gain points, whatever, it's the same thing. You're just trying to get the highest score that you can. Hopefully, you know, you can have some like friendly competition with your friends and family who you're, enjoying the ride with. But yeah, I would score this ride a 7 out of 10. So the whole Mario World, and I'll go through the rides that we didn't ride a little bit later, whatever, but the whole Mario World besides one ride, 7 out of 10. After that, we went to Hiccup Swing Glider. We went to that world, to Isle of Berk, to just walk around, because if you didn't see that video, the Hiccup Swing Glider was delayed all day. So I wasn't thinking that we was going to get on that. And I'll tell you right now, Isle of Berk was one of the lands or worlds that I was most excited for. I don't know why, but I felt like that was going to have visually the best scenery, the best vibes, you know what I mean? Because I will say this before I get into my rating for this ride. Every world that we went into, it really kind of sucks you into that world. So unless you're kind of looking around you and can maybe see some other maybe rides poking up, maybe Stardust Racers, whatever is poking up, you kind of get lost, and it kind of makes you feel like you're in your own theme park. Like I said that in the last video with Mario World, right? Like it really kind of felt like its own like theme park. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. You kind of forget that it's just a whole theme park out there. But Isle of Berk, I wanted to do that first, right? By the time we got there, it was kind of getting dark. And when we got there, that's when we noticed Hiccup Swing Glider was working, right? When we went to Isle of Berk, right? So we went straight for that. And the line was huge, as you can imagine, because it was delayed all day, right? Now, the queue is not the best of queues on the outdoors. Once you kind of get to the indoors, which is kind of like you're basically on a ride at that point, it gets a little bit more themed there. The land itself, though, is just so themed, though. So keep that in mind. It's not like it's not themed at all. Like the water fountains are like dragons. You know what I mean? It's the water fountains. It's insane. So it's still themed around the whole world. But I don't know. I'm trying to it's hard because you compare it to like Monsters Unchained and stuff like that, whatever, or you compare it to, Super Mario World, whatever, where it's a whole different vibe in those queues. So it's just not themed like that, you know what I mean? And it's also like, again, there's a little bit of shading on top, but it's not that much shading. I can imagine in the summertime this is going to get brutal, but the line was super long. But the theming on the ride with the audio playing and stuff like that. Now, we rode this at nighttime. I want to go back and ride it in the daytime because I didn't really get to see visuals around me as clearly. You know what I'm saying? Because it was nighttime. But hearing the audio and the theming that we did see that goes along with this ride, 10 out of 10. I'm not going to lie. I wish it was just a little bit longer too. But I was satisfied with that length. I'm not even going to lie. It wasn't nowhere like, Curse of the Werewolf. It was awesome. I want to go on that ride a million times more. But that was all the rides that we did ride. So that was all my ratings. I want to go down and put them from first to last, though. And this is the 7 that I've written. So number 1's going to be Stardust Racers. Let's just put it out there like that. Stardust Racers is number 1. Monsters Unchained, number 2. Hiccup Swing Glider, number 3. I will say Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, number 4. Minecart Madness, number 5. Curse of the Werewolf, number 6. And keep in mind, with Stardust Racers, I counted that kind of as like 2 rides, right? Because it's 2 tracks, right? So even though it's only 6 rides here, I'm going to break down Stardust Racers. Obviously, if you've been listening, you know by now. But, the green ride is higher, in my opinion, than the green track, I should say, is higher, in my opinion, than the yellow track. So arrange that order how you will. But the rides that we didn't ride are 1, Constellation Carousel, which, my daughter Shay wants to go on. It's just, we didn't get around to doing it last time. So maybe, opening day we'll get around to doing that. But Yoshi's Adventure, which is kind of like a people mover, comparison to at Disney World and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm in a thrill, so it wasn't something that we were into doing. Dragon Racers Rally. This is kind of like a ride that's like one of those rides are like, they kind of have them at carnivals where you kind of spin on an angle. I'll try to look for some footage and put it up here. If I don't, I'm sorry, but there's footage everywhere. You can go look it up. But and they kind of like spin, where you could kind of make them spin as you're going around them and stuff like that. The fact that these are like at carnivals and stuff like that, I wasn't super hyped to ride it that day. I will get around to riding it someday, but I just wasn't hyped to ride it that day. You know, if that makes sense. But again, that's just one ride we didn't ride. I will ride it one day, but that's one ride I didn't ride. And Fire Drill, that's the other ride. So Constellation Carousels in Celestial Park, which is the main hub of the whole park, of the whole Epic universe. And then you have, it's branched off to these 4 different worlds, right? Constellation Carousel is that big carousel in the center of the park. Yoshi's Adventure is obviously in Super Mario World. Dragon Racers Rally is in the Isle of Berk, you know, How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, as well as Fire Drill. And again, these are all the rides that we didn't ride. Fire Drill is like a water ride. I'm not sure how wet you get on that ride yet, so that was really kind of like the reason why we didn't ride that. Also, like I said, we got to that park, that world late, so we got on Hipgup's Wing Glider, and then by that time the park was kind of closing, so we just left. We didn't really even have time to do all that. But either way, I wasn't really probably gonna want to do that because again, I didn't know how wet you get on the ride. So I wanted to get wet because like I said, it was brutally hot, but I don't like to have it to where like my socks are wet and stuff like that, and now I'm just feeling nasty for the rest of the day. I just didn't want to deal with that. So those are the 4 rides that we skipped. So for our first time, I will say that it was nice getting all that done. I did not expect that, and that leads me to my surprise. So Universal has just opened up some more pass holder preview dates, extending from I think it was ending in May 9th, I think it was. Either way, it's going up to May 19th now, which the park opens up May 22nd, 2025. So it's going up until like a couple days before, you know, the park opens. So I will be going this upcoming Saturday, May, I think it's 3rd. I'm going to be going solo. This will be the first time in my life that I ever go to a theme park by myself, but I want to go and get a little bit more content for you guys, and I'm just trying to take advantage of like the low capacity, because right now, like I said, for us to get that many rides done is amazing, because I can guarantee you if we didn't do this and we went just opening day, we probably wouldn't have got that many rides done. And that's what I'm anticipating on May 22nd. So just anticipate too, like I'm probably going to walk around a lot more, try to do a little bit more reviews, a little bit more in-depth reviews when I go this weekend. If there's something that you guys do want to see or want to know personally, just put it down in this comment as soon as you see this, because like I said, I'm going next weekend, so I want to have all those questions and I'm trying to answer those as I'm there for you guys to try to give you guys exactly what you want to know. But I'm trying to go around and get more in-depth reviews on this stuff and just see more details. You know what I mean? I'm also trying to see Darkmoor, which is Dark Universe, at nighttime. I just want to see all the lights and effects, the Burning Blade Tavern burning actually at nighttime. I just want to see that. I wish that Universal would keep this park open to like, because I've heard that the rumor is that they're keeping it open till 9 o'clock, at least from opening day, I think, till the end of the month. So from May 22nd to May, whatever it is, the end of the month, I think 30th, they are keeping it open till 9 p.m., which I wish they would just keep it open till like 10, hopefully, you know, even like 11. Because they have these gates in front of all the worlds, right? Where it closes it off. So I guess if like a part is like at capacity or something's wrong with something in that world, they could close that whole world off and nobody can come in there. So if you could just do that and leave the main hub, Celestial Park, open, because the lights, and if you haven't seen my video, like go watch it, but the lights and all that stuff and the water effects, the fountains, it just looks like a whole vibe there, you know, and it's nice to be there where it's like not burning heat on you and you got a nice, sometimes breeze going on, whatever, but it's just nice. And I hope that they, after that, those dates, at least starting from, you know, at least starting from June, they'll keep these parks open a little bit later so you can get to enjoy those vibes, you know what I mean? But there you have it. Those are my reviews on all the rides that we've written, and put them in order for you guys, whatever, as promised. But like I said, stay tuned for next weekend. I got another video coming up when I go. And if you want to know something, like I said, drop it down in the comments below. And if you've written all these rides, drop a comment down below and let me know what you thought of them. Let me know your ratings, and if I'm tripping, let me know. Let me know what your favorite ride was, and if you haven't, let me know what ride you're most excited for. I just want to hear from you guys. So thanks for watching, and if you didn't by now, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace and love, gang.